Hi there, and welcome to topic 7, isosceles right triangle, 45, 45, 90. So we call this a special right triangle because it has two of the same measures for these legs, right? Two 45-degree angles, right? So we know it's an isosceles triangle. So we have this side or leg is the same as this leg, okay? So and one 90-degree angle. All right, now there's a special relationship with these two legs and the hypotenuse, so we can usually find the measures that we're looking for really quickly. We don't have to even usually get out the calculator. So because you know both legs are equal, okay, so you have two 45-degree angles, that means it's isosceles, so you got two equal legs. You know the length of both legs. So type 1 is you've been given one leg, which really means you've been given both legs because they're the same. So if you know the leg, you can find the hypotenuse, which is the side that you don't know. You can find the hypotenuse by multiplying this length. And when I say this length, I'm talking about that leg that you know. You can multiply that length by square root of 2. Okay, so whatever the leg is, multiply it by square root of 2, and that gives you your hypotenuse. Type 2, you've been given the hypotenuse. So this is the other case. So if you know the hypotenuse, then you're going to divide that hypotenuse by square root of 2 to find the legs. Okay, so in either case, you're going to be dealing with square root of 2. You're either going to be multiplying by square root of 2 or dividing by square root of 2, depending on what you've been given. All right, so let's take a look at a couple examples. All right, so this is going to be case 1. Okay, so case 1 said that I knew one of the legs. Okay, case 1 said I knew one of the legs, which really meant that I knew both legs. Okay, so here is the other leg. Now, when I'm talking about legs, I'm talking about the two sides that are not the hypotenuse. And remember that the hypotenuse is going to always be across from the 90-degree angle. It's also always going to be the longest side. Okay, so I'm looking for all the missing sides. Well, I found the other leg. It's 10. Okay, this is 10. Both of those are 10. And the hypotenuse is just going to be 10 square root of 2. Okay, so that's all. All right, this second one, I've been given the hypotenuse. Okay, so I'm given the hypotenuse, right? So that's type 2. So in order to find the legs, I need to divide that hypotenuse. Okay, this is the hypotenuse, the one across from the 90-degree angle. I need to divide the hypotenuse by square root of 2. All right, so in math, we really don't like to leave a radical on the bottom. So we do something called rationalizing the denominator. So we're going to multiply the top and the bottom by square root of 2. So the goal is to get rid of the radical on the bottom. So when I multiply across the top, I get 18 square root of 2. And then across the bottom, square root of 2 times square root of 2 is square root of 4, which is just 2. All right, and then the last step is just that these would reduce and I would get 9 square root of 2. Okay, so you can hear more about this process in the topic 0 video if you're still confused. But know that you can usually just match up decimals. So in your calculator, you could do 9 square root of 2 or just 18 divided by square root of 2, find out what that is as a decimal and go that route. But you should be familiar with this process, which is called rationalizing the denominator. Okay, so I found the other two sides. Third problem. Okay, so I have the leg again. So this is case 1. I know the leg, which means I also know the other leg. 3 square root of 2. They're going to be the same. Okay, and notice that sometimes the 45, 45, 90 triangles tell me that one of the angles is 45. Okay, which means that the other angle is also 45 because they have to add up to 180, 90, 45, and 45. But in other cases, they just tell me that the two sides are equal and there's a right angle. Okay, so either one of these pictures tells me I have a 45, 45, 90 triangle. So just keep in mind that they'll tell you have two equal sides Or maybe they'll show you that you have a 45-degree angle, okay, in one of the corners. All right, but back to example 3. So my legs are 3 square root of 2. In order to find the hypotenuse, I'm going to do 3 square root of 2 divided by, 3 square root of 2 multiplied by square root of 2. Okay, so my leg times square root of 2. Right, so square root of 2 times square root of 2 is equal to square root of 4, which we know is 2. So 6. Okay, so my hypotenuse, that kind of looks like a B. So my hypotenuse is 6. All right, and the very last example, I am looking for my hypotenuse again. I know that my other leg is 8. Okay, they're the same. Again, I know this is 45, 45, 90 because both sides are equal to each other. That must mean both of these angles across from those sides are equal. And if they're equal, they have to be 45 because, again, they have to add up to 180. 45 plus 90 plus 45. All right, so in order to find my hypotenuse, I'm just going to multiply the leg by square root of 2, and there you have it.